Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. In this video I'm going to be doing a couple of shout outs and talking about the MiSter project and the MiSter device that I've recently acquired. Now the machine was sent to me by Matthew and we did a little bit of negotiation and he's very kindly sorted it out for me. So I have a pre-configured, pre-set up, pre-working, ready to go MiSter FPGA. Now Matthew, this is Matthew's own machine. He has very kindly passed it on my way for a little deal, and I believe that Matthew himself has managed to sort out a new board, and with the help of Ricardo from ultimatemister.com, he supplied him with all the other parts that I needed to get a full MiSter setup. See, when you buy the DE10, you get the FPGA itself, you get quite a small setup, but it's just not really ideal. I think only a few cores, as far as I'm aware, are able to work on this. It's made by Thoracic Technologies, 800 megahertz with 1 GB of RAM. It has one USB, power, and a couple of GPIO headers. Now what you can do is use those GPIO headers. There is, for example, a 128 megabyte SD-RAM expansion for it, and that SD-RAM is what the cores use as their own working RAM. So if you have the Amiga or the ST or whatever, they will use that 128 megabyte rather than the DE10's 1 GB of RAM. I'm not sure why that is. I'm sure one of you clever souls will tell me, but that's just the way it is. That's not to say that some of the cores don't work without the RAM. They do. I think some of the lower spec cores will work quite happily on the RAM that is available on the DE10, but by far and large the majority will not. So you buy yourself a DE10. What do you need? Well, you will need a powered USB hub. You'll need the RAM. You'll also need a keyboard, mouse. You'll probably need a case to put it all in, and you can buy a VGA expansion board, and you can also have a cooling fan on there as well, all of which Matthew has very kindly supplied to me, all set up and working, which is very nice because it saves me the hassle and grief of buying all of it and setting it up. So I've not had to do any of that, so that's greatly appreciated. So you've got your MiSter. So what is a MiSter? Well, a MiSter is an open source project that emulates computers, consoles, and arcade systems via a field programmable array, gate array. And what an FPGA is, it's the same bit of kit that's in the Amiga Vampire, as well as many other FPGA systems. Some arcade machines use them, I believe. And some of these emulator systems use them as well. It's a big microchip that can be configured to operate with 0 latency, and it will emulate any system that is programmed to fit within the confines of its capacity. It's not infinite. You can't have a PlayStation 5 on there. You would need a massive FPGA, and obviously the bigger the FPGA, the more money it costs. So the FPGA on the DE10 can handle 8-bit systems, 16-bit systems. In the works we have, I believe, PlayStation 1, among many other systems that are being worked on currently, and hopefully before too long we'll see them. So once again, I'd like to thank Matthew, who's set all this up for me. I didn't know how to work any of this, but he has very kindly set me an SD card up, or a TF card rather, and he sent the board to me all up and running, ready to go. I needed to put ROMs on it, and of course Ricardo, who set Matthew up with new expansion to replace the ones that he's sent to me. So a big shout out to Ricardo at ultimatemister.com. So thank you very much to Ricardo for sorting this out with Matthew, and thank you very much to Matthew for going to all the effort of doing this for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a few videos now of the MiSter setup and working, put a montage together, and hopefully, you'll be as impressed as I am that we can play zero lag FPGA games and systems on this little board, and it works beautifully. The difference between emulation in so much as an emulator on your Windows machine or your Mac or whatever it is you use, and emulation on, for example, a Raspberry Pi, and emulation on the MiSter or FPGA, there is a difference. There's quite a stark difference. The biggest difference is that emulation or programming on an FPGA chip should be zero lag and cycle exact. What this means is that every function and every feature of that system should be employed on the FPGA, and it should be employed and work perfectly. Of course, sometimes they don't. They have bugs and issues and all the rest of it, but cores are then tweaked until they do work properly. When you use an emulator on Windows or the Mac, you have to run the operating system, Windows or Mac. You have to run the emulator, and then you have to run the software as well. So you have 3 working programs there running at once. The FPGA doesn't have that. It has a pre-programmed chip, so if you program the FPGA, put whatever core you want on there, let's say it's a ZX81, you program the core, that then is effectively a hardware-based replica of the ZX81 with all its faults, features and idiosyncrasies at full speed on that chip. Then you run the software and away it goes. So it will always be better in FPGA than it is on emulation. So with that in mind, I'm going to play some videos. Big thank you to everybody who has helped me these last few days. I haven't spent much time with the MiSter, unfortunately, as I've been working a ridiculous amount of hours. Well, that's what I keep telling everybody anyway. And I'm just shattered, really. I haven't had much time. So when you've seen me setting up and running the FPGA MiSter, there's usually been a few issues. Either the sound doesn't work or the video's laggy or something or whatever. That's not the fault of the machine, that's the fault of me. I've very cleverly, because I'm a very clever chap, bought myself a new microphone, a blue Yeti that you can see here. The MiSter, I've set up a new monitor, and I've cleaned out and set up, and a new Apple Mac. So I've done all this all at the same time. And then decided to make some videos. Now, of course, that hasn't worked very well. I don't know the sound levels. I don't know anything about the MiSter. So everything's gone tits up. Excuse my French. But anyway, enjoy the video. I'll put a montage together. Thank you very much for listening to me moaning and ranting on. Have a very pleasant Easter. Have a pleasant weekend. And I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye for now.